We are on the record for hearings in the matters listed in the North Dakota Industrial Commission hearing docket for October 25th. I am David Garner, hearing examiner for these hearings. We are at the hearing room for the Department of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas Division, and it is 9:05 a.m. On the docket, the following matters will be continued or dismissed. Case number 30419, continued. Case number 30422, continued. Case number 30423, continued. Case number 30425, dismissed. Case number 30338, continued. Case number 30339, continued. Case number 30343, continued. Case number 30344, continued. Case number 30345, continued. Case number 30346, continued. Case number 30436, continued. Case number 30439, dismissed. The administrative docket starts on page 6 with case number 30429 and goes through case number 30383. These cases will be heard in the next room with Michael Zisch. Audio recordings of the cases on the administrative docket will be placed on the Oil and Gas website by the end of the week. If you wish to appear in one of the matters on the administrative docket, please appear in the next room. If there is opposition to the matter, it will be brought back into this hearing room to be heard, and your statements and evidence will be taken.
So, Mr. Parrott, case number 30339 was continued.
Yes, sir.
And why wasn't case 30340 continued?
Is that a
It's not like companion case for
companion
setback
pooling
relief?
and spacing? So Continental, you're referring to the Continental cases. Continental did not request the continuance. Continental opposed the continuance. And I believe Hess did not request a continuance of the companion pooling matters.
Well, the case, so 30339 is for setback relief in a stand-up 1920 at 397 from the west line. Case 30340 is for similar setback relief in the spacing unit adjacent. So if we're going to hear one, we should hear the other. If we're going to continue one, we should continue the other.
Okay, well, sorry, I didn't quite put together the two dockets that you were talking about. I thought you were talking about companion pooling and spacing, not the offset relief. Again, Continental opposed the continuances that were requested by Hess, and so I think that'd probably be a question for Hess why they didn't request continuance of 30340. But Continental opposes the continuances of all these matters.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is the commission wants to hear them both at the same time.
Understood.
Okay.
Does that mean that the commission is going to continue 30340 on its own motion?
I think it would be appropriate.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, for our first case, we're going to jump ahead in the docket to case number 30427, application of Scout Energy Management LLC to establish an approximate 320-acre spacing unit described as the east half of Section 24, Township 139 North, Range 101, Billings County, North Dakota, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well in the Freiberg-Madison Pool. All interested parties, please come forward.
Good morning. James Parrott with Beatty and Wozniak, representing Scout Energy Management LLC.
Will we be calling any witnesses?
Yes, be calling 3 witnesses. I have 2 witnesses here in the room and 1 online. Before I call any witnesses, did you want to ask if there are any other parties, or can I proceed with calling witnesses?
Well, no other parties appeared, so you
Okay,
can proceed.
great. Thank you. Do you mind if I just check and make sure that our telephonic witness can hear us?
That's fine.
Jordan, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yep, thank you very much. Okay, so my first witness will be Amanda Behringer. You have to be sworn in. Do you want to swear in all the witnesses at the same time?
No, we can go one by one.
Okay,
That's fine.
okay.
Ms. Behringer, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Proceed.
All right, Amanda, please state your name and address for the record.
Amanda Behringer, Dallas, Texas.
And you are with Scout Energy Management LLC?
That's correct.
And what is your position with Scout?
I am a landman at Scout Energy.
And have you previously testified in matters pertaining to petroleum land management for this commission?
Yes, sir.
Move to have the further testimony of this witness accepted as that of an expert?
James, do you have any exhibits?
Yes, I was just going to ask her to
Okay.
introduce those. Oh, sorry, pass them around.
You're good. My assistant. No. Do you want both of them or just?
Yeah, you can just pass both of them around.
Thank you.
We're just going to we have two matters. We're going to pass around both sets of exhibits.
Okay. Yep.
The two matters that we have are very close together and very similar, but they have different exhibits. Mr. Garner, move to have the further testimony of Ms. Behringer accepted as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Ms. Behringer, did you prepare some exhibits for today?
Yes, sir.
Do you have personal knowledge of the matters set forth in these exhibits?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please turn to Exhibit L1 and explain this exhibit for us.
Okay. On Exhibit L1, this is a current map of our current location of our map that we would propose for the 320 spacing. It is currently spaced at 640 spacing for a horizontal well in the Freiburg-Madison pool.
Great, let's turn to Exhibit L2 and please explain this for us.
This is a map of our, the lands that we wish to space for 320. As you can see, it's the east half of Section 24. Scout currently has a working interest of 45.67%, and we are the largest working interest owner in that tract.
Thank you, and please explain Exhibit L3.
On Exhibit L3, this is recent Freiburg-Madison spacing that was granted 320 spacing in the Madison pool. It is currently highlighted in the yellow. The proposed spacing for Scout are highlighted in red. Ragnar was granted stand-up spacing on the 320 acres in Section 20 and 22, and lay-down spacing in Section 21.
And this exhibit is presented to show the approximate 320 acre spacing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. No more questions for Ms. Behringer.
Any questions from the staff?
Amanda, on Exhibit L2, I guess is good. The three wells that are vertical wells that are currently in Section 24, does Scout operate those?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You can call your next witness.
Okay. All right, Jordan, it's your turn. Going to call our geologist. I'm sorry, it's Tobin's turn.
Geologist is
Sorry,
Jordan.
Jordan. Jordan, it's your turn. I'm going to call our geologist, Jordan Norrit. Jordan, if you could prepare to have yourself sworn in.
I'm sorry, could you give me his last name again?
Oh, Norrit.
Nort?
N-O-R-E-T.
Norret. Okay.
Norrit.
Mr. Norrit, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Jordan, will you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Jordan Norrit, N-O-R-E-T. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
And what is your position with Scout?
I am on staff as a geologist for the North and Central Divisions of Scout Energy.
And have you previously testified before this commission on matters pertaining to petroleum geology?
No, I have not.
Do Do you mind giving us a brief synopsis of your educational and professional background?
Yes, I finished my Bachelor of Science in Geology from Texas A&M University, and then I did my Master's of Science in Geology at Southern Methodist University. And I've been at Scott Energy for the last 9 years, working in the Rockies and in Texas and Oklahoma, Kansas. I'm also a licensed professional geologist in the state of Texas, license number 12694.
Thank you. Move to have the further testimony of Mr. Nord accepted as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Mr. Garner, is it okay with you if I just ask for all the exhibits to be admitted at the very end, or do you want me to go
That's
witness
fine.
by witness?
No, you can do it at the end.
Jordan, please turn to Exhibit G1 and explain this exhibit for us.
Sure. So the first two geology exhibits actually share quite a few similarities, so I'll kind of go over that really quickly. So the first two exhibits, G1 and G2, are both maps showing the South Freiburg-Tyler unit area. The unit outline is in red. I'm also showing you the location of the 224th surface location, which is the yellow star, and the proposed bottom hole location in the eastern half, which is the open circle. The eastern half of the section is also showing the 320-acre spacing unit in the dashed yellow line. I'm also showing you cross-section A to A prime, which is Exhibit G3. This cross-section starts at the surface location, goes through the proposed bottom hole location, and then on to the southeast to the 530. So this particular exhibit, G1, is a net thickness isopac map of the Freiberg pay interval, which is the target zone for the horizontal well. The darker colors indicate thicker net reservoir, and so this map clearly shows our strategy in drilling towards a thicker reservoir area in the southeast part of the section. And also this quarter section has no Freiberg production, and so this project is really the most economic way to produce the reserves that are there.
Thank you. Let's turn to Exhibit G2, and please explain this exhibit for us.
So Exhibit G2 is a structure map of the Freiberg target interval, specifically it's a structure map of the Freiberg gamma ray marker. This is a regional marker bed that is most commonly used for mapping the structure of the Madison field in this region. There's some faulting in the region, but there's no evidence for faulting along the path of the proposed lateral. So that's clearly shown on this map.
Thank you. And let's turn to Exhibit G3. Please explain this for us.
Exhibit G3 is that cross-section A to A prime, starting from the vertical hole to the southeast through the proposed bottom hole location, and then on to the SFPU 530. Some key things to note on this are the base of the last Charles fault, which is the black line and kind of close to the top of that cross-section. This is where our kickoff point will be. Actually, it's going to be a little bit below that to give us just a little bit of buffer. The lateral will land right at the Freiberg marker, which is further down in black. It's labeled F mark. This is going to be used for geosteering purposes, and the peak lines delineate the main porosity zones in the Freiberg pay, which are also likely connected with vertical fractures. So this cross-section kind of shows you where our kickoff point is going to be, where our landing is, and where our target zone is.
Thank you. And finally, please present your type log as Exhibit G4.
Yeah, so Exhibit G4 is our kind of in-house type log for the South Freiberg-Tyler unit. And similar to that cross-section, it shows the base of that last fault near the top. This time it's in blue. And going down, you can see some of these other sub-intervals of the Charles and Mission Canyon formations that do produce in the state, but not here at South Freiberg-Tyler unit. Ratcliffe, Mydale, you may have heard of these. And then at the bottom, we do have that Freiberg marker again. This time it's in blue. And then those green lines above and below that also delineate those porosity zones that I mentioned in the Freiberg pay.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any questions from the staff?
Jordan, in the area where you're proposing the 320, there's the South Freiburg Tyler unit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But it does not, that unit does not include, it's, so just north of that in the Freiburg, there's the Heath Madison unit, which includes Tyler through a Madison interval.
Correct.
In the area you're proposing these 320s, the Madison is not part of the unitized area, correct?
That's correct. It's only the Tyler unit and the South Freiburg Tyler unit.
Okay. And you'll be kicking off near the base of the last salt. I'm assuming your engineer is gonna touch base on it, but, how do you plan to complete the lateral? Will it be cased and cemented and isolated?
No, these wells are typically just open hole completions with maybe a little bit of acid. That's really all that's ever done. That's kind of standard practice.
Okay. Do you recall, I was in the process of digging up the, Freiburg Madison pool definition, but do you recall what it is?
No, not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, I'll have to double check that it includes, the entire interval that you plan to have open, in your lateral. If it does, you'll be,
I do know that. I'm sorry. I do know that it includes the other zones that will be open. I just don't know the actual definition.
okay. You should be fine. I might bring it up towards the end of the case here, but, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I can interject here. It's defined as below the top of the Madison Formation to above the top of the Lodgepole Formation.
Jordan, this is Lynn Helms. I'm looking at your Exhibit G1, comparing that to G3. Which of those purple identified porosity zones are included in that isopack of, that's in G1?
It actually includes all of them.
So you believe they're all fracture connected?
I do believe that, yes.
Okay, thanks.
You can call your next witness.
All right. Thank you very much, Jordan. Next witness is going to be Tobin Gay.
Okay, Mr. Gay, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
All right, Mr. Gay, please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Tobin Gay, address 13800 Montfort Drive, Dallas, Texas.
And have you previously testified before this commission matters pertaining to petroleum engineering?
No, I have not.
Please give us a synopsis of your educational and professional background.
Okay. Graduated from Texas Tech University with a BS in petroleum engineering in 2012. I currently have 10 years of experience in both operations, production, completions, and reservoir engineering.
And what is your position with Scout?
I'm a reservoir engineer for our North Division.
Move to have the further testimony of this witness accepted as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
All right, Mr. Gay, please explain Exhibit E1 for us.
Sure. So in Exhibit E1, we are showing a map showing the SFTU 2-24, which is our well that we propose to drill a sidetrack lateral from. There's also a line showing the proposed path in which we'd be drilling this sidetrack lateral. Main things to note, the surface location is at Section 24, Township 139, Range 101 West. Surface location of 1165 feet from the north line and 2115 from the east line. Next, we show our approximate landing point, and after that, our bottom hole location, proposed at a 500-foot distance from our from the south line and 500 foot from the east line.
Thank you. And please explain Exhibit E2 for us.
Next, just showing some high-level reservoir data. Our formation depth is at approximate depth of 9,200 feet, true vertical depth. Reservoir thickness that we plan to target is in about a 10-foot interval in the upper Freiberg. Porosity at the current location is 8%, although porosity can change as we drill directionally. Initial water saturation of 32%. Formation volume factor of 1.1 reservoir barrels over stock tank barrels. Spacing proposed 320 acre. Original oil in place calculation comes out to 1,228,000 barrels, and a recovery factor of 14.9%, and an estimated ultimate recovery of 183,000. Sorry, misspoke. Original oil in place 1.2 million.
Thank you.
Next.
Oh, sorry.
Next, our economic summary, just showing some high-level numbers on our economics. We assumed a pricing of flat $60 per barrel oil. Our drilling complete costs in total coming out to $1.5 million. Operational expenses run on a variable basis at $5.89 per barrel of oil, and return on investment of 2.2.
Thank you. Finally, please explain Exhibit E3.
In E3, we're showing a proposed wellbore diagram of the SFTU 2-24. Some main things that I'd like to highlight. Surface casing at a depth of 1,822 kb with surface casing cemented to surface. Next, I want to show proposed landing point for our whipstock. We propose at 8930. That may be subject to change, but that would be below the last salt that Jordan Norrit mentioned earlier in his exhibits. Next are the original Tyler perforations located at 8007 to 8018, which would be squeezed off in order to no longer produce. And then we would be drilling around a 4,000 foot sidetrack horizontal lateral with a 4.5 inch bit. So that would leave us with a 4.5 inch open hole completion. And we would be drilling in the direction southeast.
Thank you. No more questions for Mr. Gay. Move to admit Exhibits L1 through L3, G1 through G4, and E1 through E3.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Tobin, what is your time frame to drill this well?
That's something we're currently working out right now. One of the largest expenses for this project is the mobilization of a drilling rig. So it really depends on activity in the area and if we could potentially piggyback our move-in date off of rig down date for other operators.
Okay, so for this unit, there's 7 other TA wells within this unit, all kind of noted, some with the same reasoning. So if you're going to mobilize a unit, would you do more than one well?
We would, I think, particularly these wells, I think we would like to do these back to back. We also have another well on the MHMU that also could potentially be our first candidate. It's got a approved permit, so we might be able to do all 3 at the same time.
Okay, but you wouldn't do anything else with the other remaining wells in the unit for now?
Well, so not related to this necessarily, but that is something that we're currently working through, is our TA list. It's actually something I've been tasked with, is looking at the potential for those, whether or not we can recomplete wells, we could drill sidetracks, or if they have use for injection, for EOR, or to plug the wells.
Cool, thanks.
Something to note too is that SFTU 2-24 is a TA well.
Correct, yep, thanks.
Tobin, do you anticipate you'll encounter H2S in the Madison?
I believe so. We've got some other Madison completions in the area, and historically they do have some H2S.
Do you know what kind of casing is set in this well?
Yes, if we look at Exhibit E3 on our production casing.
Peterson
I'm sorry.
has joined the conference.
Sorry about that. Production casing, what we note is 5.5-inch production casing, a combination of 17-pound, 20-pound, and 23-pound casing.
Peterson has left the conference.
Do you know what grade that casing is?
I believe it may be J55, but I'll need to double check that.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30427. Case number 30428, application of Scout Energy Management LLC to establish an approximate 320-acre space unit described as the west half of Section 27, Township 139 North, Range 101 West, Billings County, North Dakota, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well in the Freiberg-Madison Pool. All interested parties, please come forward.
This is James Parrott with Beatty and Wozniak, representing Scout Energy Management LLC. And I'll have the same three witnesses.
Okay, just a reminder to all the witnesses, you're still under oath.
All right, Ms. Berenger, you can explain Exhibit L1, and you can just highlight the differences between this exhibit and your exhibit in your last matter.
Thank you. In L1, it's similar to the previous case, except it's showing Section 27 and the well locations for Section 27 that is also currently spaced at 640 acre spacing for horizontal wells in the Freiberg-Madison Pool.
And you can just proceed through the remainder of your exhibits.
In L2, it's also similar to the previous case, highlighting the west half of Section 27, 139 North, 101 West, as showing that Scout has a 66.21% working interest. Again, we are the largest working interest owner in that tract. In Exhibit L3, it is the exact same exhibit from the previous case, outlining the current, recent 320-acre spacing that was approved by Ragnar in correlation to our proposed 320 spacing in Section 27 and Section 24.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any questions from the staff?
All right, let's turn to the geology exhibits. And Jordan, if you could go ahead and start with Exhibit G1 and just highlight the differences between this application and the prior.
Certainly. So just like with the land exhibits, the geology exhibits are almost identical. So in Exhibit G1, similar to the previous case, except in this exhibit, the yellow star is showing you the surface location for the 14-27. The open circle is the proposed bottom hole location for that, which is in this case to the northwest. The cross-section A to A prime, very similar. It starts with the surface location, moves northwest through the bottom hole location, continues northwest, in this case to the FHMU D804. The base map here again is the same as previous case. This is a net thickness isopack map, and just like the previous proposed project, we are proposing to drill toward the thicker part of the reservoir, and also a quarter section that has no fiber production. So again, this project is the most economic way to produce the reserve in that northwest quarter section of Section 27.
And you can just present the remaining exhibits.
Okay. Exhibit G2, very similar. Again, this is a structure map of the Freiberg target interval, structure of the Freiberg gamma ray marker. And again, just showing you that there's no evidence for any kind of major faulting along that proposed lateral. Exhibit G3 is cross-section A to A prime. Again, starting with the surface location of the SFD 14-27, going through the bottom hole location to the northwest, on to the FHMU D804. And again, showing you the base of that last salt, which is where our kickoff point will be, just a little bit below that. And then the pink lines again delineating the porosity zones which we're targeting. And then lastly, the exhibit G4 is identical to the previous case.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any questions from the staff?
Jordan, just confirming again that the spacing you're requesting is outside of the area that's defined as the Heath Madison unit, correct?
Yes, that's true. The unit ties in with the Tyler or the Heath, which is about 1,000 feet from this.
Okay. And one final request, I guess. Can I have you submit exhibits G1 and G2 digitally, probably for this case and the other case? By the time these are scanned in, the numbers aren't going to be legible, so.
We can do that.
Yes.
Jordan, I assume this completion will be similar with the open hole completion?
Yes, sir. It'll be the exact same.
Okay, thank you.
Calling next witness.
Okay, Tobin, you can just go ahead and present your exhibits and highlight the differences.
Absolutely. Okay, so in Exhibit E1 for the SFTU 14-27, similar to the SFTU 2-24, just a map showing the proposed path in which we'd be going. Would you like me to repeat myself? Sorry, the mic was off. Okay. So here we're just showing the proposed path of the horizontal sidetrack lateral. We are in section 27, 500 feet from the south line, 1,910 feet from the west line. Next shows our approximate landing point, although subject to change, and our bottom hole location, similar to the SFTU 2-24, which is 500 feet from the north line, 500 feet from the west line. Exhibit E2, again showing reservoir data. The only differences here that are worth noting, formation depth here is at 9,140 feet, which is a tad higher than the last case, and a slightly higher porosity of 10%. With that being said, slight differences in our calculated results from our reservoir data. You can see those there as well. Next, on Exhibit E3, showing the proposed wellbore diagram. The main things to note: surface casing 1,825 feet KB with top of cemented surface. Next, production casing. Quite a combination if you'd like to read that paragraph there, but 17-pound N80 casing, as well as K55 casing. Next, whipstock proposed setting depth at 8,880 feet, below the last salt. Next, showing perfs, currently in the Tyler that would be squeezed at 7,974 to 7,980. And then lastly, our lateral target at a true to vertical depth of 9158 to 9168. That would be a 4.5-inch open hole completion, approximately a 4,000 foot lateral going in the direction north-northwest. Also worth noting, this is also a T8 well that we'd be reactivating.
Thank you. No more questions. Move to admit exhibits L1 through L3, G1 through G4, and E1 through E3.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Tobin, there's no natural gas price in your economic summary. Do you have gas sales from the wells in this area?
Currently, we do not.
So all the gas will be flared?
Yes, we don't anticipate a lot of gas. Pretty low GOR for this upper Freiberg that we produce from in the area.
Do you recall what that number is, the gas oil ratio?
I don't off the top of my head, but typically we see gas anywhere from 5, 10, 15 MCF. Very, very low volumes, hard to get to market at an economically feasible, so.
And Tobin, I assume, as in the last case, you anticipate you'll encounter H2S in this?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
And how long do you need to submit that exhibit requested by Mr. Suggs?
We'll get those in by the end of the week.
Okay, I'll leave the record open for 10 days.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Thank you.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30428. Case number 30415, application of Oasis Petroleum North America LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Glass Bluff and/or Elk Bakken Pools, Williams, and Mackenzie Counties, North Dakota, to establish two overlapping laydown 1920-acre spacing units described as sections 13, Township 152 North, Range 103 West, and sections 17 and 18, Township 152 North, Range 102 West, and section 24, Township 152 North, Range 103 West, and sections 19 and 20, Township 152 North, Range 102 West, and authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on each such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Oasis Petroleum North America, LLC. I have 3 witnesses appearing telephonically, Greg Sandberg, John Prim, and Andrew McLean, and I'll try to call them right now.
Okay.
Greg, can you hear me? You guys all there? All right, great. Got them on.
Okay, you can proceed.
Greg Sandberg will be my first witness.
Mr. Sandberg,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Greg, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Greg Sandberg, Cord Energy, Oasis Petroleum, 1001 Fannin, Suite 1500, Houston, Texas 77002, and I am a landman.
And Greg, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, they were.
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with these proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
I'd move the testimony of Mr. Sandberg be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Greg, let's start with Exhibit L1, the locator map.
Great. Yeah, L1 is just a locator map showing where we're working with today.
Okay.
L2 zooms in on that. Gives you section 13 of 152.103, 17 and 18 of 152.102 for that northern unit in red, and our corresponding working interest The southern unit there in the blue, 152-103, section 24, and sections 19 and 20 of 152-102.
Okay. Moving on to L3, if you could just take us through that working interest in the underlying base units.
Absolutely. So the L3 there shows the existing stand-up 1280 spacing unit. The one depicted in red, sections 13 and 24 of 152-103, shows our working interest there of 49%. The one outlined in green there, 152-102, 18 and 19, shows our working interest there at 73.33%. And finally, the one outlined in blue there, 152-102, 17 and 20, shows our working interest at 74.09%.
Okay, I have no further questions for Mr. Sandberg. I'd offer the land exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Greg, are you the operator of the 1280s, A, B, and C?
Yes, we are. All three of those we already are.
Thank you.
Mr. Prim,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
John, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is John Prim. I'm a geologist for Oasis Petroleum. Business address 1001 Fannin Street, Houston, Texas 77002.
John, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing units?
Yes.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Prim be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And John, let's go ahead and start with your structure map G1.
Sure, yep. Exhibit G1 shows a upper Bakken structure map centered over the two proposed spacing units outlined in yellow and red. The grid and contour lines show the depth to the upper Bakken structure, showing a dip towards the east, southeast. Also highlighted there is a type log, which I will show in Exhibit G3, the Crowfly 1710.
Okay. Let's move on to G2, the isopack.
Yep, and Exhibit G2 is the isopack of the middle Bakken, also centered over that same area with the two proposed spacing units outlined, showing that the middle Bakken is present over the entirety of both spacing units, showing a slight thickening from about approximately 27 feet thick to 30 feet thick from southwest to northeast.
Okay. And then if we could move on to G3 and have you take us through the type log.
Yep, and G3 shows a type log of that Crowfly 1710, centered over the Bakken petroleum system with both gamma ray resistivity, density, and porosity shown.
I have no further questions for Mr. Prim. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
John, the existing 3 laterals and the stand-ups, can you give me the target on those 3 wells?
I believe those are, I think those are Bakken wells. I'd have to check to be sure. Apologies, I don't have that off the top of my head.
Would Andrew know that, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, the next witness can answer if he knows.
Yep.
I guess one more question, John. Is there any geologic reason for the proposal to lay down across the existing 1280s?
No geologic reason. This is just an attempt to, which I assume Andrew will go into, to transition from 2-mile laterals to 3-mile laterals.
Okay, and your intent is to target entirely the Middle Bakken and no Three Forks targets with this proposal?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Andrew, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yeah, Andrew McLean for Oasis Petroleum / Cord Energy, 1001 Fannin Street, Suite 1500, Houston, Texas 77002. I'm a asset development engineer.
And Andrew, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with these proposed spacing units?
Yes.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. McLean be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Andrew, let's go through your proposed development plan, starting on E1 with what would be that northernmost laydown 1920.
Sure. E1 and E2 are kind of a pair of exhibits showing the same information, just highlighting the northern and southern laydown. So Exhibit 1 shows 152, 102, 17, and 18, and 152, 103, Section 13, as proposed 1920, with the wellbores indicated, potential wellbores indicated, and also, I didn't have this in the key, but there's little shape there as well for the potential surface location that we're pursuing.
And Andrew, do you happen to know the target of each of those three existing wells in the stand-up 1280s?
Yes, those are Bakken wells. Sorry I didn't get to the mute in time.
Oh, sorry. And then, Andrew, if you could just maybe touch on it, presumably also to address Mr. Suggs' question, I assume there's some sort of economic reasons and efficiencies, associated with why you're looking at the laydowns with the longer laterals as opposed to the stand-up 1280s?
Yeah, that's correct. It's just much more capital efficient in order to do the laydowns with longer laterals versus going in and continuing them as 1280s with additional surface locations and higher cost per lateral for drilling.
Sure. Why don't we go ahead and move on then to the reservoir data and the economics that you've got in E3.
Sure, I did notice a typo just a minute ago, so apologies, but the top shows the basic reservoir characteristics about 250 degrees, 34-foot net pay, and the spacing, the OOIP, the first two lines here are for, or the second line there is for a 1280, but 15.8 to 16.6 million barrels, with the well EUR should read 775 MBO. The number of wells proposed is 5 per unit with a recovery factor around 15%. And then as we get down to the very bottom, our investment is around 11 million per well for this kind of PIR 10.9 approximately.
So you said the EUR was 775?
Yes, 775 per well.
And then on the oil in place, is the barrels you've got indicated, that's correct? It's just that it should be 1920 as opposed to 1280?
No, that is correct for a 1280. So I just feel like it's a little confusing the way I presented it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Andrew, in your opinion, if the commission approves these laydown 1920s, is that going to prevent waste, protect correlative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
Okay, I'd I'd offer the engineering exhibits as well as the gas capture plan affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Andrew, Wade touched on it a little bit, but for those 3 wells that you're crossing in both instances here, do you plan to keep producing those?
Yes, we do.
Okay, are you just planning to skip stages, or what's your plan of action to
Yeah,
prevent that collision?
Yes, sorry. Yes, as we have survey information there, we'll adjust the completion plan as necessary to stay safe and protect the wells.
Thanks.
Andrew, just confirming, when you were indicating the targets on the wells, you indicated they were all Bakken targets, but are they all Middle Bakken, or are there some Three Forks targets here?
They're all Middle Bakken.
Okay. Can you tell me what on E1 is the difference between the red dots and the green dots?
It's surface hole versus bottom hole. It's
Okay.
an artifact of the internal mapping software we have.
Okay. And then one, I guess, point of clarification, possibly for Greg. I think he was asked if all the wells were currently operated by Oasis. Your E1 has Exxon listed on the laterals. Right now, those are operated by XTO, but I believe they are part of a pending transfer. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Exxon, again, so an artifact of maybe some old data we have in our mapping software, Exxon, and then acquired from XTO, and I think still XTO with the state, and we are in the middle of getting paperwork to get it all transferred to us at Cord.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes our hearing for case number 30415. Case number 30416, application of SEG Williston LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Stanley Bakken Pool, Montreal County, North Dakota to 1, establish a stand-up 640-acre spacing unit described as the west half of Section 6 and 7, Township 155 North, Range 90 West, and authorize 2 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit. 2, establish an overlapping 1920-acre spacing unit described as Sections 1 and 12, Township 155 North, Range 91 West, in the west half of Sections 6 and 7, Township 155 North, Range 90 West, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled in such unit. And 3, granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of SEG Williston LLC. I have 3 witnesses for this case: James Roller, Dave Williamson, and Jared Franke, and I will call them now. Hey, James. You got everybody there? All right, we're live in the hearing room.
Mr. Roller.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Sorry.
Mr. Roller.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
James, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sure. James Roller. I am employed by SEG Williston LLC, and our business address is 1780 Hughes Landing Boulevard, Suite 300, The Woodlands, Texas 77380, and I am our senior commercial land advisor, sometimes referred to as a landman.
Sure. And James, have you previously testified before this commission?
I have not.
Why don't you briefly take us through your relevant educational background and work experience?
Sure. I graduated in 2008 from the University of Arkansas with a degree in physics, 2005 with a degree in physics, and 2008 with my law degree. Since 2008, I have worked at Stevens doing land and legal work of this nature.
And James, are you familiar with the land matters that are associated with the proposed spacing units we'll be discussing today?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'd move the testimony of Mr. Roller be received as that of an expert in this case.
Motion granted.
And James, why don't we start with your exhibit L1 and just identify the proposed spacing units?
Absolutely. L1 shows the area location map. And it has highlighted in the dark green the first unit, the 640-acre proposed unit comprised of the west halves of sections 6 and 7, 155 North 90 West, Montreal County, North Dakota. And then adjacent to that is the light green. We had sections 1 and 12 of 155 North 91 West for the proposed lease line unit between the two.
Okay. And then let's move on to L2, if you could take us through your working interest in that proposed 640.
Yes, our FEG Williston, the tracks where we own 100% are in dark yellow, and the tracks where we own a partial working interest light yellow within the west half of 6 and 7, 155 North 90 West. And our total working interest in the proposed 640 is 68.08%.
Okay. And then moving on to L3, the working interest for that 1920.
Yes, and same format used for this exhibit, and our working interest in this proposed unit is 84.62%.
And then L4, can you tell us what we've got there?
This L4 is a letter of support from EOG Resources, which is the majority interest owner in the east half of Section 6 and 7, 155 North 90 West, and likely the operator of that portion of those sections. We have been working in concert with EOG in order to best develop these units in a safe, environmental, and efficient way.
Sure. And James, maybe just to provide a little more context for the commission, I mean, I think you understand this isn't the kind of the typical spacing pattern that you would see. Can you explain, like, is it kind of driven by your communications with EOG and their plans, and maybe what you'll see in some of Dave's testimony with sort of these existing wellbore configurations? Is that kind of why we're looking at doing what we're doing here?
Yes, I'd be happy to explain it. It is driven by all those things, and Mr. Williamson will get into it a bit more, but at present, these sections are producing on a 640-acre basis each, which is far less efficient by today's standard. As development has occurred around them, you'll see that north-south is the orientation that these 1280s have been developed on the west. To the northeast, they actually go east-west, and then to the east, they go northwest to southeast. And these are the units where these proposed orientations merge together. So working with EOG in order to best develop everything and stay out of each other's way it has been critical for us. And on top of that, a significant portion of the west half of Section 6 and 7, mainly Section 6, are comprised of a federal lease that limits the ability to develop on the surface within certain distances from intermittent, ephemeral, or perennial streams or rivers, which the Supreme Court of the United States did not help us all that much with their recent ruling as to know exactly what that means. But we do have wetlands out there, and so the ability to develop the west half 6 from a surface location at the southern portion of Section 7 is somewhat critical just to get it developed at all.
Sure. I have no further questions for Mr. Roller. I'd offer the land exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
James, you're proposing to establish the west half as 6 and 7 as a stand-up 640. Why not just 6 and 7 as a stand-up 1280?
The understanding, and I can only speak for our company. We have been working with EOG, but their proposed orientation, and you can see in some of their more recent wells drilled in this general area, to the east, and I'm not a geologist, but to the east, you're kind of approaching the edge of the play, and their preferred orientation is more of a dogleg pattern, maybe 6, 7, and 8, or 6, 7, 18, and 17, and they have some work to do as far as the best course for that, but that is their intention, and as a result of our more, north-south preferred approach, we executed an acreage trade with them to consolidate our position, and 6 and 7 is really, I appreciate that it looks based upon these exhibits as if it's in isolation, but the reality is 1 and 12 are also being developed with I think 4 lateral to also oriented north-south. Those will actually be drilled first. And so we're continuing the phase, I guess is what I would say, but with EOG's significant ownership, we're not in a position, I guess, to force that upon them on the east half. So we worked it out between the two.
So is SEG going to develop 1 and 12?
Yes. And those orders are already issued, and those wells are already approved.
The east half is 6 and 7. Do you have any idea when EOG plans on spacing those, apparently, according to their letter?
According to their letter, it is, and that is the best statement I have from them. In working with them, it is, they have assured me it's in short order. I can't give specific dates, obviously, but this is the area that both of our companies are currently running. I mean, we intend to run a rig here. We just finished completing wells in this area, and they are too. These aren't isolated islands that either of us plan to get to, later. We're active now.
When do you plan to develop the west half of 6 and 7?
The west half of 6 and 7, we currently have tentatively scheduled based upon rig availability in Q1 of 25, but that's really just the follow-through with developing 1 and 12 in the same north-south orientation. We will be planning to begin in Q1 of 24. So looking at it more as a, continuation is probably bad.
But 6 and 7 is on your schedule for Q1 25?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Williamson,
Yeah.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Dave, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yeah, David Williamson, employed by SEG Wilson LLC. I'm a geosciences manager. Business address is 1780 G Landing Boulevard, Suite 300, The Woodlands, Texas.
And have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, I have.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing units?
I am.
All right, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Williamson be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And let's start with G1. If you can just kind of describe for us what your proposed development of this spacing unit would look like.
Yeah, the G1 is showing the two 1,000-foot space laterals on the west half of 6 and 7, as the discussion previously talked about while we're doing that. And there are 1,000-foot spacing between the wells, what we believe would be optimal with the way we worked out with EOG. And then we also have on the next one, we have the same scenario with just the.
Yeah, so G2 you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay. Let's move on then to,
they're all middle market.
all Middle Bakken targets.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to your structure map then, G3, if you can take us through that exhibit.
Yeah, so this has both the leaf line unit and the west half of 67 unit being depicted with the existing lateral. It has a middle Bakken, top of middle Bakken subsea structure map showing depth off to the southwest, depth, true depth slightly less than 1 degree to the southwest. The current depth of these south to north laterals will be 90.4, 90.5 degrees. A to A prime is the cross section that will be in the next exhibit with the red star labeled A as being a type well.
Okay. And let's move on to G4, if you can kind of walk us through that cross section.
Okay, and A to A prime. So, the launch pad 1-11 is the top wall. It shows has target highlighted as the middle Bakken. Approximately 34 feet of middle Bakken in that well. You go into A prime, which is to the south of us. See that the middle Bakken thickens considerably. See the blue colors in the center of the middle Bakken there. That would be a fluid shoal limestone section. When that is present, the middle Bakken typically thickens, and it can be the maximum I've seen in this immediate area is 45 feet. We intend to try to stay in the center of the middle Bakken, but we will steer accordingly. The Uid shoal, it comes and goes. It isn't always present, but we have seen it in the wells we drilled the previous year. So.
Okay. I have no further questions. I would offer the geology exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Frankie,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Jared, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes. Jared Frankie. I'm employed by SCG Williston. Our address is 1780 Hughes Landing Boulevard, Suite 300, The Woodlands, Texas, 77380. And I am a reservoir engineer.
And Jared, have you previously testified before this commission?
Yes, I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, I have.
And Jared, are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with these proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Frankie be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Jared, let's start with R1, if you can take us through the reservoir data and economics for the, for that 640 in those wells.
Certainly. Exhibit R1 is the reservoir and economic data for the stand-up 640 comprised of the west half of section 6 and 7. The thickness is representative of the top of the upper Bakken Shale to the base of the lower Bakken Shale, or the entire, what we consider the Bakken system. And the porosity and oil saturation shown are also the average over that Bakken system. We see 21 million barrels in place in this stand-up 640 with an expected EUR per well of around 527,000 barrels, which is a recovery factor of 2.5% per well. Moving on to the economic summary, our expected well cost is $8.3 million per well. We see GORs in the range of around 500 standard cubic feet per barrel initially, and expected returns at 100% working interest and $65 per per barrel of oil flat, $3 per gas flat is expected to be around 67% rate of return.
Okay. And Jared, R2, I assume that's essentially the same exhibit, just that we're looking at the different spacing for that lease line well?
That's correct, for the lease line well.
Okay. And Jared, in your opinion, if the commission were to approve this spacing, in your opinion, is that going to prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes, I do.
I have no further questions. I'd offer the engineering exhibits as well as the gas capture plan affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Jared, the existing wells in 6 and 7, are those operated by SEG?
No, those are operated by EOG.
Okay. Do you know what your plans are for when you're drilling across them and when you're completing your proposed wells?
Yes, during the drilling portion, our plan, we are communicating continuously with EOG. We will obtain gyros and MWD surveys from EOG and steer those wells, as well as when we'll steer the wells, geosteer the wells, and then while we are drilling our laterals, we will increase survey density from about 100 feet, a survey every 100 feet to survey every 30 feet when we're within 500 feet of those laterals. And we will plan to steer away from their wells within the Middle Bakken zone with a buffer of plus or minus 10 feet. And then on the completion side, we, again, will be communicating continuously with EOG on our timing of our completions. We will let them know up to 31 days in advance and not further than 21 days in advance, and ensure that they have adequate time to frac protect their wells.
Okay, and I'm assuming based on some of that testimony that your understanding is that EOG would intend to continue producing those wells?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30416. This time, why don't we take a 10-minute break? We'll go off the record until 10:27. We are back on the record. It is 10:27. We will resume with case number 30417. Application of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Beaver Lodge Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 25 and 36, Township 156 North, Range 96 West, and sections 30 and 31, Township 156 North, Range 95 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC. I have three witnesses in this case, Levi Greenlee, Othman Elhalou, and Aisha Keshimir. And Mr. Examiner, Levi Greenlee will testify in the next case as well, but I'll have different geologist and engineer.
Mr. Greenlee,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Levi, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, I'm Levi Greenlee. I'm employed by the Hess Corporation as senior land negotiator with the business address of 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas, 77010.
And Levi, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
I have.
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with the proposed spacing unit?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Greenlee be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Levi, let's start with Exhibit 1, if I could have you identify the proposed spacing unit.
Yes, Exhibit 1 is the location map of Township 156 North, Range 96 West, and Township 156 North, Range 95 West in Williams County. In blue are the existing DSUs, the first stand-up 1280 of sections 25 and 36, and the second stand-up 1280 of sections 30 and 31. In green is the requested 2560 spacing.
All right, let's move on to Exhibit 2, if you can take us through the working interest.
Yep, the Exhibit 2 is a land plat of the proposed 2560 spacing. In yellow is the Hess-operated BL Mitrice DSU with Hess owning 94.54% working interest, XH with 3.33 and others with 2.13. And then in blue is the Hess-operated BL Herpendal DSU with Hess owning 88.11, XTO with 7.93, Petra Hunt with 3.96, and the combined working interest of the proposed 2560 spacing is Hess with 91.4, XTO with 5.58, and others with 3.02.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer the land exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Elhalou,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I swear.
Othman, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sure. My name is Othman Elhalou, Elhelou. I'm employed by Hess Corporation as an operations geologist with a business address of 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas, 77010.
And Othman, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And Othman, are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing unit?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Elhalou be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Othman, let's start with Exhibit 3, if you could take us through your structure map.
Sure. Exhibit 3 shows the location of the existing DSUs in blue and the requested 2560 DSU outline in green, with the existing wells marked. The top middle box and structure map is presented with a 50-foot contour interval showing that the formation is dipping to the southeast. The line A to A prime represents the location of the well used in the cross-section in Exhibit 4.
Okay, And let's move on to exhibit number 4, if you can take us through that cross-section exhibit.
Exhibit 4 is a stratigraphic cross-section flattened on the top of the Bakken, showing that the targeted formations are present and continuous throughout the region.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 3 and 4.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Kashmir?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Ms. Kashmir, pardon me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Aisha, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sir, my name is Aisha Kashmir, reservoir engineer employed by Hess Corporation, located at 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas 77010.
And Aisha, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with the proposed spacing unit?
Yes, sir.
I'd move the testimony of Ms. Kashmir be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Aisha, let's start with exhibit number 5, if you can walk us through your development plan for the proposed spacing unit.
So Exhibit 5 shows the proposed 2560 development plan for Section 3031 and Section 2536. The bold dashed line is the proposed well and will be drilled in the Middle Bakken Formation.
Okay, and then let's move on to exhibit number 5, and if we can have you take us through the reservoir data and economics.
So Exhibit number 6 is the, Exhibit number 6 shows the reservoir economic summary for a single Middle Bakken well in River Lodge area. The expected EUR is around 630 with 2% recovery factor. Economics were run at $62 per barrel WTI flat and 100% working interest. The expected NPV is around $9 million with 69% rate of return.
Aisha, in your opinion, would establishment of the spacing unit to allow for this lease line well prevent waste and protect relative rights?
Yes, it does.
Okay. I would offer the engineering exhibits and the gas capture plan affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? That concludes our hearing for case number 30417. Case number 30418, application of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the new home Bakken pool to establish an overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit described as sections 17, 18, 19, and 20, Township 158 North, Range 97 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC. Mr. Examiner, Levi Greenlee will testify again, as well as Jacob Smith and Carson Noble.
Mr. Greenlee, just a reminder, you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
And Levi, let's start with exhibit number 1, and again, if we can have you identify the proposed spacing unit.
Yes, Exhibit 1 is the location map of Township 158 North, Range 97 West in Williams County. In blue are the existing DSUs. The first stand-up 1280 is sections 18 and 19, and the second stand-up 1280 is sections 17 and 20. In green is the requested 2560 spacing.
And Levi, let's go on to exhibit 2, if you can take us through the working interest.
Yes, Exhibit 2 is the land plat of the proposed 2560 spacing. In yellow is the Hess-operated GS bundle, with Hess with 90.12%, Martin commercial interest with 3.06, others with 6.82. And in blue is the Kraken-operated Michelle Lawrence DSU, with Hess having 0% working interest, Kraken with 87.5, and others with 12.5. In the combined working interest, the proposed 2560 is Hess with 44.65, Kraken with 44.15 and others at 11.2. And has talked with Kraken, and there's no objection to Hess operating the proposed lease line well.
Okay, I'd offer exhibits 1 and 2. I have no further questions.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Smith,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Jacob, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yep. Jacob Smith, employed by Hess Corporation as a geologist. Business address 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas 77010.
And Jacob, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, sir.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing unit?
Yes, sir.
I'd move the testimony of Mr. Smith be received as that of an expert in this case.
Motion granted.
And Jacob, go ahead and start with exhibit number 3. Take us through that structure map.
Okay. Exhibit 3 shows the location of the existing DSUs in blue and the requested 2560 in green. This is the top middle Bakken structure map, the 50-foot contour interval showing formation dipping to the south. The purple 8A prime represents the location of wells used in the next exhibit.
Okay, and then move on to exhibit 4. Take us through that cross-section.
Sure. This stratigraphic cross-section flattened on the top of Bakken formation, showing that the targeted formations are present continuous.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 3 and 4.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Noble,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Carson, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes. I'm Carson Noble, employed by Hess Corporation as a reservoir engineer. The address is 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas 77010.
And Carson, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with the proposed spacing unit?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Noble be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Carson, let's, using exhibit 5, take us through your development plan for the proposed spacing unit.
Yeah, Exhibit 5 shows the proposed 2560 developments for Section 17, 18, 19, and 20. That highlighted dashed line is the proposed 2-mile lease line well, and will be drilled in the middle Bakken formation from that pad location denoted blue to the north.
And moving on to exhibit 6, if you could take us through the reservoir data and economics.
Yeah, Exhibit 6 shows the reservoir and economic summary for a single 2-mile middle Bakken well in this northern Goliath area. The expected EUR is around 506,000 stock tank barrels, with roughly a 1.9% recovery factor. The economics here will run at $62 per barrel WTI flat and 100% working interest. The expected NPV of $2.6 million for this lease line well with a rate of return of 32%.
And Carson, in your opinion, if the spacing unit's approved to allow for the section line well, is that going to prevent waste and protect relative rights?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 5, 6, and the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? That concludes our hearing for case number 30418. Case number 30419, application of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the East Fork and/or Wheelock Bakken pools to establish an overlapping 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 1 and 12, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and sections 6 and 7, Township 156 North, Range 98 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30419. Case number 30420, application of Mirex Petroleum Corp. For an order amending the applicable orders for the West Bank and/or Beaver Lodge Bakken pools to establish an overlapping 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 15, 16, 21, and 22, Township 156 North, Range 96 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize 2 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Mirex Petroleum Corp. I have 2 witnesses appearing in this case, Sam G.M. Fortone and Scott Nonoff, and I'll call them now.
If I can pronounce them. Yeah, that would help.
Sam and Scott?
Okay. I try to scribble it. It doesn't really come out very well.
All right, we're live in the hearing room.
Mr. Giampatone,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Can I ask you, Attorney, can he spell his name for us?
Yep, absolutely. Sam, can I have you state your name for the record and then just spell it for us as well?
Sure. Sam Jimfertone, Giamfortone.
And Sam, can I have you tell us?
Sorry, just a second. Sorry, just a moment here. All right, go ahead. Sorry, I had feedback on my computer. My apologies.
Okay. Sam, if I can just have you tell us by whom you're employed and in what capacity, and also give us your business address.
Yes, I'm employed by Mirex Petroleum Corporation. I'm the land manager here at Mirex, and our address is 363 North Sam Houston Parkway East, Suite 200, Houston, Texas 77060.
And Sam, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes,
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
yes,
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
yes.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Jim Fortone be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Sam, let's start with exhibit number 1, your locator map.
The Exhibit 1 is a general locator where we're looking to place a lease line well. Exhibit 2 is the kind of the focus map there, a zoom in of the 2 separate 1280s where we're looking to place a lease line in between. And then the third exhibit is a breakdown of the working interest between the DSUs.
And Sam, with respect to Mirex's working interest, it's a little bit lower. It's under 50%. Are there any other working interests that you work with or have support from?
Oh, yes, typically SpecTech.
SpecTech, okay. So if you look at the Mirex SpecTech combined interest, it's significantly larger interest and well over 50%.
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions. I would offer exhibits 1 through 3.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Nonoff,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
And once again, Attorney Man, can you have him spell his name?
Yep, Scott, so can I have you state your name for the record and spell it for us as well?
Yes, sir. My name is Scott Nonhoff, Nonhoff. I'm with Murex Petroleum, reservoir engineer. My address is 363 North Stan Houston Parkway East, Suite 200, Houston, Texas, 77062.
And Scott, have you previously testified before this commission?
I have not.
All right. If I can have you briefly walk us through your educational background and relevant work experience.
Petroleum engineer from Texas A&M, Park in 1990. Initial job was working for International Paper in their Petroleum and Minerals Division, where I was the reservoir engineer, working their 3.5 million acres of fee minerals. Worked there for 10 years, and then went to work for a private equity-backed company called White Oak Energy as their reservoir engineering manager, and then eventually senior vice president, working everything in the Gulf Coast from Hidalgo County, Texas to Okaloosa County, Florida, and everything in between. And then the last 5 years I spent with a company called Team Operating, a private company that I worked as a reservoir engineer and our business development manager, and worked everything in California, Utah, New Mexico, Texas, Wyoming, parts of North Dakota. And then I've been here at Murex as the reservoir engineering vice president for the last 3 months.
And Scott, are familiar with the geology and engineering matters associated with the proposed spacing units we'll be discussing?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. I'd move the testimony of Mr. Nonhoff be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Scott, let's start with your Exhibit 4, if you can take us through that structure map.
Exhibit 4 is the structure map on the top of the box and showing east-west dip across the section. The green box there represents the 2560 BSU.
Okay. Then let's move on to the cross-section map.
So Exhibit 5 shows north-south and east-west cross-section. Exhibit 6 and 7 to follow, A prime and B prime. Exhibit 6 and 7 showing stratigraphic cross-sections flattened on the base of the Bakken Shale, showing a continual constant thickness across the area in question. Very homogeneous reservoir across the full DSU.
Sure. Let's move on to Exhibit 6 then, the A to A prime cross-section.
So, yeah, A to A prime is the base of the, flattened on the base of the Bakken, base of the first shale, sorry, and just a stratigraphic section showing the 50-foot interval of the Bakken across the acreage position.
Sure. And then the Exhibit 7, the B to B prime, is that similar?
Showing the same thing as A to A prime, just in a east-west location.
Okay. And then let's move on to Exhibit number 8, if you could walk us through your proposed development on this spacing unit.
So this is our proposed near-term development program. The two lease line wells being offset by the Kristen Denise and the Lisa Diane wells. Those are so we can get additional wells in between the older completions, as well as then drill an additional 4 wells within the 1621 DSU section. All of these will be drilled from a single pad location.
Okay. Let's move on to Exhibit number 9, and if I can have you take us through the reservoir data and economics.
Exhibit 9 says our recoverable reserves of 656,000 barrels of oil per well. Investment of $8.5 million will net a net present value of around $6 million and a cumulative undiscounted cash flow of $9.3 million.
Scott, in your opinion, if the commission approves this spacing for the 2 lease line wells, is that going to prevent waste and protect relative rights?
Yes, it will.
Okay. I have no further questions. That offer the engineering and geology exhibits as well as the gas capture plan affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Scott, on Exhibit 8, how far off the section line are you proposing the wells?
Right now, we're at about 250 feet,
You cut out of how many?
250 feet off the section line. Are you still getting feedback?
No, but you understand the commission's corridor is basically 250 feet on each side of the section line, so I assume you'd want some
It's
safety.
going to be on the inside of 250.
Okay. And then where's that pad gonna be?
Right now, we are putting it on the south side of 21. We are confirming all of our pipeline right ways and everything right now, but the plan is to be on the south side of 21.
And then your recoverable reserves, you said it's 356,000 barrels, or did you say it was 556?
356,000 barrels per week is what we're estimating.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, my apologies if you mentioned it or if I missed it, but the target for both wells, are they both proposed to be Middle Bakken targets?
Middle Bakken, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, I'm not sure if you misspoke or not, but for the pad location, it would be the south side of 20 instead of 21?
No, it's 21. Actually, sorry, this is we'll be on the north side of 16. I'm sorry. We'll be on the north side of 16.
Nope, you're fine. I apologize. I grabbed the wrong set of exhibits.
Yeah, but actually, and I did misspeak. We're going to be on the north side of this DSU, so we're going to be on the north side of 16.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30420. Case number 30421, application of Murex Petroleum Corp. For an order amending the applicable orders for the Midway Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit described as sections 17, 18, 19, and 20, Township 157 North, Range 95 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Murex Petroleum Corp. And Mr. Examiner, it'll be the same two witnesses in this case.
Okay, just a reminder, you're both still under oath.
Yes.
All right, and Sam, let's go ahead and start with exhibit number 1, that locator map.
Yes, Exhibit 1 is a general locator, again, where we're looking to place a lease line well.
Go ahead and move on to exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2 is just a focus map of the two separate 1280s already in place.
Okay. And then moving on to exhibit number 3, your working interest in the proposed spacing unit?
Yes, this is the working interest as it relates to Murex's operated DSU. I do not have the adjacent DSU to the east, but we have on Exhibit 4 to follow an operator letter of support from XTO. We've been in contact with them, and they are okay with us drilling a lease line well.
Okay. And again, in your operated units, typically with you and Spec Tech, you're looking at approximately 50% in there, close to it.
Yes.
And then
And
XTO
again,
is
with
close to
XTO,
40 and supports you.
Correct, yes.
And then exhibit 4,
Yes, that's our letter of operator, letter of operator support from XTO.
okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 1 through 4.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
All right, Scott, let's start with exhibit number 5, if you can take us through that structure map exhibit.
Exhibit 5 is a structure map on the Bakken, 50-foot contour intervals showing east to west dip across the area.
Okay, and then moving on to the cross-section map.
Exhibit 6 shows the A to A prime north-south cross-section and the B to B prime east to west cross-section on the 2 exhibits proposed.
Okay, and then exhibit 7, the A to A prime cross-section.
A to A prime is the cross-section across the north-south, flattened on the base of the first Bakken shale, showing the continual thickness across the interval in the Bakken.
All right, and then the B to B prime cross-section, exhibit 8.
B to B prime shows the same general thought process, except for in east-west direction as opposed to the north-south direction.
Sure. Let's move on to exhibit number 9, and if you can describe your development on the proposed spacing unit.
So exhibit 9 shows the leaf line well that we'd like to drill, along with 2 additional wells that we will space between the recently drilled Nash Parker well and the lease line. We will be drilling 3 wells from a pad location located at the south end of 20, and then we're also exploring drilling the next down space DSU to the south, and an additional 4 wells down there. So this will be part of a larger paddle.
Okay. And let's move on to exhibit number 10. Can you walk us through the reservoir data and economics?
The reservoir statistics, if you will, the resistivity, the formation, water saturations, etc. There is a typo in the OOIP. It is 45 million, not 25 million, resulting in a recoverable reserves of 379,000 per well. Our economics for this area show an investment of $8 million with a cumulative undiscounted cash flow of $2 million, and net present discounted 10% of $4.5 million to the 100% working interest.
And Scott, in your opinion, would establishment of the spacing unit to allow for the lease line well prevent waste and protect relative rights?
Yes, it would.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer the exhibits, including the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Scott, again, can you confirm your target for the lease line well?
I'm sorry, there's no blocking.
And as in the previous case, where do you intend to locate that well bore on the corridor?
Within 250 feet, more than likely on the lease line.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30421. Case number 30422, application of Petro Hunt LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Kittleson Slug Bakken Pool, Burke County, North Dakota to 1, extend the outline and amend the applicable orders for the Kittleson Slug Field to include all of sections 20, 29, and 32, Township 159 North, Range 91 West. 2, establish a stand-up 1920 acre spacing unit described as sections 20, 29, and 32, Township 159 North, Range 91 West, and authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit. And 3, establish an overlapping 40 acre spacing unit described as sections 19, 20, 29, 30, 31, and 32, Township 159 North, Range 91 West, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. And 4, granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30422. Case number 30423, application of Petro Hunt LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Cottonwood and/or Kittleson Slug Bakken Pools, Burke County, North Dakota, to establish 2 overlapping 38, 40 acre spacing units described as sections 23, 24, 25, 26, 35, and 36, Township 159 North, Range 92 West, and sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 159 North, Range 92 West, and sections 19, 30, and 31, Township 159 North, Range 91 West, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on each such unit. This case has been continued to our November hearings. And that concludes our hearing for case number 30423. Case number 30424, application of Neptune Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Otterbakken Pool to establish two overlapping stand-up 1920 acre spacing units described as sections 4, 9, and 16 and sections 21, 28, and 33, Township 157 North, Range 101 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize two horizontal wells to be drilled on each such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Neptune Operating LLC. I have three witnesses in this case, Justin Mayhall, Brian Lucero, and Josh Lochner. And I'll call them now. Justin, you there? Yeah, you got everybody else? All right.
Mr. Mayhall. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Justin, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is Justin Mayhall, M-A-Y-H-A-L-L. I'm employed by Neptune Operating LLC, which is a subsidiary of Kraken Oil and Gas LLC, as a landman. Address 9805 Katy Freeway, Suite 300, Houston, Texas 77024.
Justin, have you previously testified before this commission?
I have.
Okay. And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
I have.
Okay. And are you familiar with the land matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
I am.
Okay. I'd move the testimony of Mr. Mayhall be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Justin, let's start with your L1 locator map.
Yes, L1 is a regional locator map in Williams County, North Dakota, showing the otter field within 157 North, 101 West.
Okay. And then moving on to L2, your working interest in that spacing unit?
Yes, this captures section 4, 9, and 16 within 157, 101, creating a 1920. It shows or section 4 and 9, Kraken's section 4 and 9 interest, which is approximately 34.31% working interest, and it shows our section 16 working interest, which is made of 16 and 21. That's approximately 98.82% working interest for an allocated working interest value of 55.81% working interest, with others having 44.19%. Also want to make a note that Kraken is currently leasing within section 4.9.
Sure. Let's move on to that 1920 to the south then, your exhibit L2.
Yes, this is sections 21, 28, and 33 within 157 North, 101 West. We have a uniform 98.82% in all three sections for a 1920 working interest of 98.82%, and others having 1.18%.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the land exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Justin, are there any, other acreage issues up in 4 and 9? Or is there a reason that hasn't been developed to date?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lucero,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Brian, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, sir. My name is Brian Lucero. I'm employed by Neptune Operating as their geology manager. Our address is 9805 Katy Freeway, Suite 300, Houston, Texas 77024.
And Brian, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, sir, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing units?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony, Mr. Lucero, be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Brian, I just noticed that the exhibit numbers really didn't come through on your exhibits, but if we can start with that first map, before the structure map.
The Exhibit G1 is just a locator map showing the township and range with the otter field outlined in red. It also shows the location of our type well.
Okay. And then let's move on to the next exhibit, the structure map.
This would be Exhibit G2. This is our structure map on the top of the Middle Bakken Formation, 10-foot contour interval, showing dip roughly to the southeast.
Okay. And then if you can take us through the next exhibit, the type log.
Final exhibit is our type well for the area. This is the Wolverton 1-4 showing the Middle Bakken Formation.
I have no further questions. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Brian, the intended target for the wells?
Middle Bakken.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lochner,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Josh, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed in, and what capacity, and give us your business address?
My name is Joshua Lochner. That's spelled Joshua-Lachner. I'm employed as a reservoir engineer for Kraken Resources, for whom Neptune is a subsidiary. And our business address is 9805 Katy Freeway, Suite 300, 77024.
And have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the engineering-related matters associated with these spacing units?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Lochner be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And let's start with exhibit number E1, if you can just describe how you would intend to drill and complete the proposed wells.
Exhibit E1 is a proposed lateral wellbore schematic for this development. It consists of a four-string design, the conductor casing, surface casing, intermediate casing, and production liner. We plan to use a plug-and-perk completion strategy with roughly 167 feet per stage in order to optimally stimulate and produce these wells.
Okay. Let's move on to E2, if you can take us through your development for the proposed 1920s.
Exhibit E2 is our proposed development diagram
for the dual 1920 acre development in Township 157, Range 101 West. The development is split into two portions of 16, 9, and 4 to the north, and 21, 28, 33 to the south, with two 15,000-foot laterals being drilled in both of those proposed units.
Okay, and then let's move on to E3, if you can kind of walk us through kind of the area development.
So E3 is a broader development diagram for the wider development plan in this area. As you can see in green, the proposed spacing as we are presenting it in this hearing is shown in sections 4 through 33. And then in gray, I've indicated our future development plans so as not to leave anything stranded. You'll see there's a 2-mile wells in 4 and 9, and then additional 3-mile development in 33, 28, and 21, which has already been spaced by the previous operator.
Okay. Let's move on to E4, if you can take us through the reservoir data.
Exhibit E4 is the reservoir data for this proposed development. We estimate a Bakken thickness between 20 and 30 feet, and with a porosity of 5 to 7% and a saturation, water saturation of around 60%. We estimate an initial oil in place of about 6 million barrels per section. So with the 1920 acre spacing unit and a recovery factor of between 3 and 4%, we anticipate an EUR of 580,000 barrels of oil per well. For the GOR, we're modeling a gradual 18-month ramp up from 700 to 2,100 scf per barrel.
Okay. Let's move on to E5, if you could take us through the economics for the proposed wells.
Exhibit E5 is the well economics for this proposed development. As I said in the previous exhibit, we expect the EUR of each well to be around 580,000 barrels of oil. We ran these economics with an initial investment of $10 million and a price deck of $70 flat oil and $3.50 flat gas at 100% working interest. And that yields a return on investment of 37% and a net present value of $4.6 million. We expect to pay out in just under 2.5 years.
Okay. And Josh,
The gas will be gathered by one.
sorry, I interrupted you.
That's all right. The gas will be gathered by ONEOK, and oil and water will be handled by Kraken.
Okay. Josh, in your opinion, if the spacing is approved to allow for this development, would that prevent waste, protect correlative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer the engineering exhibits and gas capture plan affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Josh, looking at your exhibit E3, that additional development plan in the area, is that all another operator's proposed development, or some of that Kraken's? Or Neptune, sorry.
It's our development. It's our development, but it's acres that we recently acquired from Chris.
Okay, so do you know what?
That's what I'm.
Okay, do you know what the timing would be on that development for those wells on 4 and 9?
We plan to drill those at the same time as a 3-mile development to the north of it. We don't have a precise date set, but it would be in the next few years, most likely.
Would that likely happen before or after the proposal for these 1920s?
After.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30424. Case number 30425, application of Marathon Oil Company for an order amending the applicable orders for the Bailey and/or Kildare Bakken pools, Dunn County, North Dakota, to 1, terminate an overlapping 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 14, 15, 22, and 23, Township 145 North, Range 94 West. 2, reduce the setback to 250 feet on either side of the common boundary between stand-up 1280-acre spacing units described as sections 14 and 23 and sections 15 and 22, Township 145 North, Range 94 West, or 3, granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been dismissed. That concludes our hearing for case number 30425. Case number 30426, application of Marathon Oil Company for an order amending the applicable orders for the Bailey and/or Kildare Bakken pools to establish 2 overlapping 2560-acre spacing units described as sections 1, 2, 11, and 12, and sections 2, 3, 10, and 11, Township 145 North, Range 94 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on each such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Marathon Oil Company. I have 3 witnesses. It'll be Keith Swiderski, Sarah Beth Donaldson, and Julie Foster. I'll call them now. You guys hear me? All right.
Mr. Seversky,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Keith, can I have you state your name for the record and spell it for us as well?
Yes, Keith Swiderski, that is Keith, Keith, Swiderski, Swiderski.
And Keith, can you tell us by whom you're employed and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
I am employed by Marathon Oil Company as a senior landman working the Bakken asset. Our address is 990 Town and Country Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77024.
And Keith, have you previously testified before the commission?
No, sir, I'm not.
Can you take us through your educational background and relevant work experience?
Yes, I graduated from Texas Tech with a degree in petroleum land management in 2011. Out of school, I worked for ConocoPhillips, working the Bakken asset and the Niobrara asset. Shortly after that, I worked for some smaller Texas operators for 8 years, primarily in the Permian Basin and the Texas Gulf Coast. And for the past year, I have been working as a senior landman in the Bakken asset for Marathon Oil.
And Keith, are you familiar with the land matters associated with these proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Swiderski be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Keith, if we can start with Exhibit L1, and if I can have you identify the proposed spacing units we'll be discussing.
Yes, so L1 shows the 2 overlapping 2560 spacing units. The first one we'll be discussing will be located in 145-94, sections 1, 2, 11, and 12. And the second one we'll be discussing are located in 145-94, sections 2, 3, 10, and 11.
Okay. Let's move on then to Exhibit L2, and if you can take us through your working interest in that proposed spacing unit.
Yes, sir. So L2 is a 2560 overlapping spacing unit and located in 145-94,
Sections 1, 2, 11, and 12, Marathon Oil owns a 50% working interest, which is entirely within Sections 2 and 11. In Sections 1 and 12, that is a COP-operated DSU, and we have had conversations with COP. They're aware of our plans, and they have shown no issues with our development plan.
Okay. Let's move on to L3 then, if you can take us through your working interest in that proposed 2560.
Yes, sir. So L3 is another overlapping 2560 located in 14594, sections 2, 3, 10, and 11. Marathon Oil owns a 79.39% working interest in the entire unit. Again, we own 100% in sections 2 and 11 and roughly 60% in sections 3 and 10. And the largest operator within 3 and 10 would be Incline Bakken.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the land exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Ms. Donaldson?
Yes, sir.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, sir.
Sarah Beth, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sarah Beth Donaldson. I'm an advanced geologist at Marathon Oil Corporation, located at 990 Town and Country Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77024.
And Sarah Beth, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing units?
Yes.
I would move the testimony of Ms. Donaldson be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Sarah Beth, let's start with your structure map G1, if you can take us through that exhibit.
Depicted in G1 is the Upper Bakken Shale structure map with a contour interval of 20 feet. The two 2560-acre spacing units are shown in the red dashed polygon, which has an average dip of less than 1 degree. The peak line from A to A prime is the cross-section shown in Exhibit G2.
Okay. And let's move on to G2, that cross-section.
Okay. G2 is a cross-section shown from A to A prime, which shows our primary target intervals for this area, which includes both the Middle Bakken and the Three Forks First Bench. The Middle Bakken and Three Forks thicknesses are consistent across both wells, with an average thickness variation of less than 5 feet.
Okay. Let's move on then to your development plan for the proposed spacing units, starting with G3A.
Depicted in G3A, the plan of development for the two Three Forks First Bench section line wells shown in the red dashed line within each 2560-acre spacing unit. The two pads are estimated to spud in Q2 2024. Both single 2560 section line wells are planned directly on a section line and as part of a pad development shown in G3B.
Yeah, let's go on then to G3B, the kind of the full development.
Yes. 3GB is our full development with both corresponding 1280 acre spacing units and the two single well 2560s. Each pad will be batch drilled and zipper fracked together. The increased density of the 9 wells to be drilled in sections 2 and 11, this 1280 is part of Marathon's administrator case, number 30440. To better optimize its development and maximize our operational efficiency, we decided to plug and abandon these two existing wells within the unit. The Lily 2411 each and the Smithson 21-2 each. By plug and abandoning these wells, we can optimize our well spacing across the unit just to maximize our recovery within that 1280 acre spacing unit.
Okay. I have no further questions for Ms. Donaldson. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Ms. Foster?
Hi, my name is Shane Brunner. I'm filling in for
Julie Foster.
Sorry, Shane.
No problem.
Mr. Bruner,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Shane, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sure. My name is Shane Bruner. I'm a petroleum engineer at Marathon Oil. The business address is 990 Town and Country Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77024.
And Shane, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, I have.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters that are associated with the proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Bruner be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Shane, let's start with Exhibit E1A, which would be the reservoir data and economics for the 1, 2, and 11 and 12 spacing unit.
Sure. The proposed well, Three Forks well, is expected to produce approximately 482,000 barrels of oil. This is out of an original oil in place of about 7 million barrels on the 2650, leading to a well recovery of about 6.9%. The wells are expected to have positive returns with an NPV10 of approximately 2.7 million. All these economics were run at $50 flat.
And then Shane, E1B is for the other spacing unit, and it looks like due to the kind of the proximity of each of these wells, is the reservoir data and economics the same?
That's correct.
Okay. Let's move on to E2 then, if you could describe for us how you would drill and complete the proposed wells.
Sure. The drill and completion plans for this wells are standard one, which is to run a cement 7-inch casing past the kickoff point, then to run cement 4.5-inch liner approximately 10,000 feet further. We'll be completing 37 stages in a plug and perf. Total well cost is expected to be about $8 million. That includes location, facilities, and artificial lift costs.
Okay. So Shane, in your opinion, if the commission approves this spacing to allow for each of these lease line wells, would that prevent waste and protect correlative rights?
Yes, it does.
What's that?
You're asking if they efficiently drain the reservoir?
No, I'm asking you if the spacing gets approved to allow for you guys to drill these two lease line wells, would that prevent waste and protect correlative rights?
Yes, it would.
Okay. I have no further questions. That offer the engineering exhibits as well as the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Shane, on your economics, I see you used $50 oil, but what gas price did you use?
We use 235 in MCF.
Okay. Thank you.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30426. Case number 30338, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool, granting an approximate 1920 acre overlapping drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 1, 12, and 13, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorizing up to 5 horizontal wells in the proposed overlapping spacing unit. This matter has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30338. Case number 30339, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order amending the field rules for the East Fork Bakken Pool, Williams County, North Dakota, as follows. 1. Create and establish an overlapping 1920 acre drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 1, 12, and 13, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and 2. Authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on said overlapping 1920 acres drilling and spacing unit, with the lateral located approximately 397 feet from the west line of said proposed 1920 acre drilling and spacing unit. This matter has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30339. Case number 30340, application of Continental Resources Inc. for an order amending the field rules for the East Fork Bakken Pool, Williams County, North Dakota as follows. 1. Create and establish an overlapping 1920-acre drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 211 and 14, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and 2, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on said overlapping 1920-acre drilling and spacing unit with the lateral located approximately 362 feet from the east line of said proposed 1920-acre drilling and spacing unit. Am I correct? This matter has also been continued to the November hearings?
This case is a companion case to 30339, and the commission would like to hear those two cases together. So I would move that we continue it to November.
Okay, motion granted. This case has been continued to the November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30340. Case number 30341, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool granting an approximate 1920 acres overlapping drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 211 and 14, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorizing up to 5 horizontal wells in the proposed overlapping spacing unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Good morning, this is James Parrott with Beatty and Wozniak representing Continental Resources, Inc., and I'll have 3 witnesses. I'm going to go ahead and dial them in right now. Taylor, this is James Parrott in the NDIC hearings room. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jay. Can you
Great.
hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. So I'll have 3 witnesses. I'll call my first witness, Taylor Titanic.
I'm here.
Ms. Titanic, do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Taylor, would you please state your name, business address for the record?
Yes. My name is Taylor Titanic, and that's Tytanic, and I work at Continental Resources, Inc. Our business address is 20 North Broadway, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73102.
And what is your position with Continental?
I am a Landman 3, working the Williston Basin.
And have you previously testified before the commission on matters pertaining to land management?
I have, yes.
Move to have the further testimony of this witness accepted as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Taylor, did you prepare some exhibits for case number 30341 today?
I did, yes.
And do you have personal knowledge of the matter set forth in these exhibits?
Yes.
Great. Would you please start with Exhibit L1 and walk us through your land exhibits?
Yes. Exhibit L1 is a general locator map. As you can see, it shows section township range. The blue outlines show our field outlines, and the yellow sections are where we are asking for the proposed spacing unit. You can see it's located within the East Fork field, and it covers section 2, 11, and 14 of 156 North, 99 West.
Thank you. You can move on to Exhibit L2 whenever you're ready.
Exhibit L2 is a land plat which shows the proposed 1920 acre spacing unit that we are requesting today. It's comprised of sections 2, 11, and 14 of 156 North, 99 West, Williams County, North Dakota. To the right of the plat shows a working interest summary for the proposed spacing unit. As you can see, Continental owns 83.43% of the working interest within this proposed 1920 acre unit.
Thank you. No more questions.
Do you want to admit the exhibits?
Sure, I can do it now, or I can do it all at once at the end.
Okay, we can do it all. Any questions from the staff?
Okay, I'd like to call Tyler Gruenbacher.
I'm here.
Mr. Groenbacher, do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
All right, Tyler, please state your name and business address for the record.
Tyler Gruenbacher, spelled Gruenbacher, business address 20 North Broadway Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73102.
And what is your position with Continental?
I am a operations geologist in the Williston Basin.
And have you previously testified before this commission?
Yes, I have.
Moved to add the further testimony of this witness accepted as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Tyler, have you prepared or supervised the preparation of some exhibits for us today?
Yes,
And do you have personal knowledge of the matter set forth in those exhibits?
I do.
All right, if you could start with Exhibit G1 and just walk us through all of your exhibits, please.
Exhibit G1 is our general locator map. It's showing our proposed spacing unit, which is highlighted in yellow and outlined in red. Displayed on the map, I'm showing 50-foot contours of the Upper Bakken structure surface, and denoted in the red star is the type log I'm using for this unit, which is the Heidi 1-4H.
Okay, feel free to move on to Exhibit G2 whenever you're ready.
Exhibit G2 is showing the type log for this unit, and I'm displaying an interval that captures the East Fork Field Bakken Pool, which spans from 50 feet above the Bakken Shale through the base of the Three Forks. And then at the bottom of this exhibit, showing the petrophysical parameters associated with the type log.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any questions from the staff?
All right, I'd like to call my last witness, Chase Haddikin.
Mr. Haddikin, do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Okay, Chase, please state your name and business address for the record.
Chase Haddikin, 20 North Broadway Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73102.
Would you like us to spell Mr. Haddikin's last name for
Sure.
you? Okay, it's Haddican.
Thanks.
Chase, did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
And what is your position with Continental?
Reservoir engineer.
And have you previously testified before this commission with matters pertaining to petroleum engineering?
Yes.
Moved to add the further testimony the witness accepted as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Chase, have you prepared or supervised the preparation of some engineering exhibits for us today?
That's correct.
And you have personal knowledge of the matter set forth in the exhibits?
Yep.
Okay, if you could start with Exhibit E1 and please walk us through all of your exhibits.
Exhibit E1 is a directional plot for the proposed 19-acre spacing unit comprised of sections 211 and 14 of Township 156 North, 99 West. The main point of this exhibit is to outline the existing development in those sections with solid green lines representing existing middle Bakken wells and the dashed green lines indicating the proposed middle Bakken wells.
Okay, and feel free to move on to E2 whenever you're ready.
Exhibit E2 is a schematic of our typical 3-mile middle Bakken well. We're showing a PD of 26,000 feet with a 7-inch casing point of 11,000 feet, which puts our lateral length at roughly 15,000 feet. The lateral will be cemented and completed with 50 plug-and perf stages paired with hydraulic fracturing operations. Exhibit E3 outlines the reserves and economics for an individual middle Bakken type curve. Starting with the reserve section, we are expecting an oil IP of 1,300 barrels of oil per day, oil EUR of 628 MBO, a gas EUR of 1387 MMCF, a BOE EUR of 859 MBOE, and an EUR GOR of 2208 standard cubic feet per barrel. Moving on to the economics section, with a total estimated gross drilling and completion costs of $10.186 million, a 60-3 oil and gas price deck. In the reserves mentioned above, we are expecting a total PV10 of $4.112 million per well, a rate of return of 44% per well, and an undiscounted payout of 1.6 years. Also shown are the reservoir parameters broken out for the middle Bakken, as Tyler previously spoke to in Exhibit G2.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any questions from the staff?
We also have the gas capture policy affidavit attached as Exhibit GM1, so I'd move to have Exhibits L1 and 2, G1 and 2, E1 through 3, and GM1 admitted.
The exhibits are admitted. That concludes our hearing for case number 30341. Case number 30342. Application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool, granting an approximate 1920 acre space, overlapping spacing unit comprising sections 23, 26, and 35, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorizing up to 5 horizontal wells in the proposed overlapping spacing unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Good morning. This is James Parrott with Beatty and Wozniak, representing Continental Resources, Inc. I'll have the same 3 witnesses.
Okay, just a reminder to all the witnesses, you're still under oath.
Okay, Taylor, if you could turn to Exhibit L1 and walk us through each of your exhibits in order, please, and you can just highlight any differences between this case and the last case.
Okay. Exhibit 01 is again our general locator map. On this exhibit, you can see in yellow, highlighted in red, is the 1920 acre spacing unit that we are requesting today. That proposed spacing unit is comprised of section 23, 26, and 35 of 156 North, 99 West. I'll move on to Exhibit L2, which is our land plat. Again, this is showing the proposed spacing unit we're requesting today, which is a 1920 acre spacing unit comprised of sections 23, 26, and 35 of 156 North, Range 99 West. To the right of the plat, you'll see the working interest breakdown for this proposed spacing unit, where Continental Resources holds 70% of the leasehold in the 70% of the leasehold in the unit area.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any questions from the staff?
Okay, we're going to have Tyler Grunbacher back to present our geological exhibits. Tyler, if you could start with G1 and then just work through both exhibits, please. And just highlight any differences.
Sure.
Yeah, G1 looks is roughly the same general locator map as previously testified to in Exhibit 30341, with the proposed spacing unit being the only change there to capture sections 23, 26, and 35. Moving to Exhibit G2, this is the same type log previously shown, the Heidi 1-4H, and once again, the geophysical parameters are at the bottom of the page there.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any questions from the staff?
Okay, I'd like to call back Chase Hattikin. Chase, if you could start with Exhibit E1 and walk us through each of your exhibits, and you can just note any differences between this and case number 30341.
Yeah, we'll start on Exhibit E1. Only differences here compared to the previous case is that this is in sections 23, 26, and 35 of 156 North, 99 West, as opposed to 2, 11, and 14 from the previous case. And then Exhibit E2 and Exhibit E3 are what you saw in case 3341.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any questions from the staff?
Chase, I apologize if I missed it in the last one, but do you plan to drill north and south from the same paths?
We're still working through pad location, but that would be the optimal place.
Thanks.
It's between sections 14 and 23.
Chase, did you want to provide any information about the infrastructure corridor at this time, or is that still in the planning stages?
I think we can probably talk about that a little bit, but yeah, it's Continental's intention to try and develop 15699, the eastern 2/3 of that township, as 3-mile laterals. So yeah, potentially we could have, our infrastructure corridor going through the middle of that township.
Thanks. No more questions.
Want to offer the exhibits?
Yes, we also have Exhibit GM1, which is the gas capture policy affidavit. So move to admit Exhibits L1, L2, G1, G2, and E1 through 3, and GM1 into the record.
The exhibits are admitted. That concludes our hearing for case number 30342.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Chase, Taylor. You guys are all done for the day, and Tyler also. Thank you.
Case number,
Of course. Thank you, James.
oh, we're going to still call a few cases into the record.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to stay, but we won't have any more witnesses because everything else is continued.
Okay. Case number 30343, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool, granting a 1920-acre overlapping drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorizing up to 5 horizontal wells in the proposed overlapping spacing unit. This case has been continued to the November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30343. Case number 30344, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool and Wheelock Bakken Pool, granting a 40-acre overlapping spacing unit comprising sections 1, 12, and 13, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and sections 6, 7, and 18, Township 156 North, Range 98 West, Williams County, North Dakota, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing spacing units of said proposed overlapping 40-acre spacing unit, such other relief. This matter has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30344. Case number 30345, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool and Wheelock Bakken Pool, granting a 40-acre overlapping spacing unit comprising sections 23, 24, 25, 26, 35 and 36, Township 156 North, Range 99 West. Williams County, North Dakota, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing space units of said proposed overlapping 38 40-acre space unit, such as the relief. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30345. Case number 30346, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool and Wheelock Bakken Pool, granting a 38 40-acre overlapping space unit comprising sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and sections 19, 30, and 31, Township 156 North, Range 98 West, Williams County, North Dakota, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing space units of said proposed overlapping 38 40-acre space unit and such other relief. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30346, and that concludes our hearings for the day. We're off the record.